Hey, it's Lanesh Devotee here again, facing the Baharroth yet again. And this time I'm bringing back out my Zarathur deck, which is a little bit Zarathur swarmy sort of an idea. Trust me to wait until the elite meta to sort of get set in stone before I decide I'm going to try and use some of the swarm decks that are real popular. So I decided to keep this one. I figured with the Fanatics and the Plague Bearers I had a decent command couple of cards. I've got a Shrine of Warp Flame, which is quite useful, and so is the Warp Rift. And we've got lots of red, smattering of blue and a bit of green. So we've got some interesting options out here, but I think I'm pretty happy with these cards. I quite like seeing the Frontline Ard Boys. I believe they're 2 command hammers, 2 attack, 4 HP for a cost of 4. I believe that's right. And they have to be declared the defender, so that means they are a good protection for Zarathur, who's not that tough and really needs to be in the middle of the battle to add his +1 attack. Not +1 attack, +1 damage whenever damage is assigned to an enemy unit at the planet. Okay, so we'll see John Mulligan. And it's up to him to make the first move. He puts out the Banner of the Ashen Sky, Baharroth's signature support, and I follow it with Zarathur's signature support. The Banner of the Ashen Sky says that when a unit moves to another planet, or to a planet, or to another planet, moves to another from one planet to another, I believe, so you can't get it on committal, the unit gets +3 attack, so that's quite useful for him. +3, I believe it's +3. Whereas the Shrine of Warp Flame, when an enemy unit is destroyed, I exhaust the Shrine of Warp Flame and I get to pick up the top Tzeentch card from my deck. So I've got a couple of different options that will be available to me as the game goes on, but at the moment Warp Rift is a Tzeentch card, so I'd be able to get that back. If I used it as a shield and managed to kill something, I could then get it back and actually use it for its effect in the HQ phase following the battle, or indeed use it as another shield if I needed to. Alright, let's see what John does next. He plays a Rogue Trader. Simple enough, just a bonus resource, putting it on Baharroth. It's pretty commonplace for a Rogue Trader. There's no resource bonus there, so Rogue Trader puts it in. It's a nice little combination, that's good. And I go with my Rotten Plague Bearers. I go to Taurus. I'm not sure who's going to be able to trigger Taurus between us, to be quite honest. I'm not putting out that many units, so I might be able to, but he might not put out that many units either. I'm not sure. He might be doing the something or other Viper, Wildrather Viper, is that what it's called? He might be using that, which is very common with Baharroth, because it moves around so much. So we might be on a bit of an even keel for Taurus. But I thought Taurus at least is a card and a resource, and I'll put some command there. Karnath, I just don't particularly want to fight on Karnath. I don't want to make the move for the first planet just yet, although getting the red would probably have been good. So possibly putting the Rotten Plague Bearers on planet 1 to try and encourage that might have been a good idea. Wild Rider Viper, that's exactly what I was concerned about. So going here, it's going to beat me at command, and also it's going to be able to move over to Karnath. So that's a bit of a shame there. If I'd have gone to Karnath, he could have just put it opposite me and beaten me in command and won on planet 1 anyway. So I used the Fanatics to beat the Rogue Trader. I feel like that's a good move. And I wasn't expecting this because he was out of resources, but obviously the Star Cannon is free. So now the Wild Rider Viper has Armor Bane, so it's going to be hitting for 5 attack and Armor Bane, no shields to be used against it. So that's really a bit of a scary unit to put out there right now. The Viper has 2 command, so it beats me, and 4 hit points as well, so it's tough enough. I figured he was going to go to planet 4 to ensure that he got his Rogue Trader benefit, so I decided to go to 4 to make sure that he couldn't, and I chose correctly, so I'm glad about that. Should he decide to stay, I feel like I've got a slight edge on him, but he's quite likely to move to another planet. So 1 planet each, not a huge amount of command available at that point. at this point in the game. So I've got the Infernal Gateway, which gives me a couple of options. I kind of thought if he doesn't go to Carnath for any particular reason, I might be able to win it with the Zealots. Or I could possibly use them to try and fight Baharroth and cause him some serious damage wherever he goes. But I also thought I don't necessarily want to invest that yet. So making some decisions there. I've got the Warp Rift, which I could use to defend my Zealots if I decide to attack Baharroth. So I've got some choices to make. So he moves on over, and I think I'm going to let him have it. Waiting to see if he moves Baharroth with his mobile. He's thinking about it. He's really thinking about it carefully. And he does decide to get out of harm's way, or at least he thinks he's out of harm's way, but then he adds that Banner of the Ashen Sky. Now he's heading for 5, which is frankly untenable for me to get involved with him there. So that's, yeah, I hope I don't subsequently do that, because that would be a bad idea. Alright, so Carnath, battle at Carnath, and he gets it. I've got nothing I'm going to do here. I can't think of any of my options that are worth trying to use against him at this point. And in the end he goes, he figures if you're going to trigger Baharroth, I'm going to trigger Baharroth as well. Just seems like it makes sense to me. And I lose my Gleeful Plague Beast, which is a bit of a shame because I've got a Splintered Path Acolyte. That could have given me a little bit of a hitting power earlier on. I'm wondering if perhaps I should have used my Plague Bearers to hit the Viper before it ran away. And at least started to ping away on that. So Yavahn, and he triggers Yavahn, which I absolutely wasn't expecting, and he uses it to get a Shrieking Exarch into play, which is absolutely fantastic. The Exarch is a 4/6, 2 command hammers. Usually it requires 2 cards be discarded from your hand as a cost to deploy it, but obviously putting into play skips that really, really nicely. Now the thing with the Exarch is, if an army unit is destroyed at the same planet as the Exarch, you can immediately deal damage to any unit anywhere on the board, to an enemy unit, so you can't kill your own, I don't think, and then draw a card. So it's just a really powerful Eldar unit there, and so he's got a couple of big powerful Eldar elites, which is really, really dangerous. So my Rogue Traders swing for 1, which becomes 2 Rogue Traders. My Chaos Fanatics, sorry, 2 command hammers, 1 attack, 2 hit points. So they're able to do that very easily. I've got no action. I'm just waiting to make sure he has got a subsequent action, and then, excellent, I will trigger Baharroth against him, because he's down to 3 cards, so it'll be a good equalizer, limiter. He loses Cry of the Wind, which actually is probably not, he's probably not too worried about that. But it does mean that the Viper isn't quite as able to jump around as he might otherwise have been. And there we go, that's the end of the turn. Turn 1. I'm the only one with anything on the planets, but he's got a couple of very big elites. I've got 2 Demon Reducer cards, the Splintered Path Acolytes and the Promise of Glory, but I've got no demons to use them on. I have got a promotion, which could be helpful to keep some command coming in. And I've got an Infernal Gateway, which is going to be a good delivery system for the Zealots, I think. And I've got a Warp Rift, but at this point I don't really see I want to move anything. I could have moved maybe Yavahn further down the line to keep the Tricolour out of his hands and feed him some things that he doesn't really want. So the Battletan allies, a 1-cost unit, 2 command hammers, 1/1. Very simple little Eldar unit, really good command, and the reason they're slightly cheaper is they've got the ally trait, but they're also warriors, which has a few synergies as well. I really like the ally trait, I just wish it had seen a bit more use. I like that the Dark Eldar have ways to kill them, I like the Imperial Fists have ways to rout them and stuff. I think the ally trait could have been a really interesting trait in this game. So I use my promotion to continue to win command on that first planet, and he puts a Samhain jet bike onto his exarch. The jet bike allows you to exhaust the jet bike to move the attached unit from the planet it is at to another planet with a matching planet color icon, and also deal 1 damage to an army unit at the planet, which on an exarch is phenomenal. It can go anywhere. It's a huge beast. And this is one of the things, like most of the Eldar elites are vehicles, and the Shrieking Exarch is not, and it's the war gear attachment here is just incredibly nasty. So the rest of my cards I'm holding on to and saving until I think there's a more reasonable time to use them. John is also done. He's not got too many options, clearly. 2 resources, 2 cards, whereas I've got 5 resources, 4 cards. And so hopefully that will allow me to make some headway against these big elite units. So I'm picking him to go to planet 2 and mobile over to planet 1 to win, but we shall see. I can't remember where I just chose to go, so we might have to wait and see what I do. Ooh, looks like I'm changing my mind. I decide to go to planet 2. So I'm figuring I win at 1. If I win at 2 and 3 and 4, it doesn't matter which one of those he blocks me, I'm maximizing the amount of command I'm going to win. If he goes to 1, I at least get 2, 3, 4. If he goes to 2, I at least get 1, 3, 4, and likewise, and so on. So I think that's why I decided to go there. I'm not too worried about losing planet 1 if I do. He goes to planet 3, which is well beyond what I would have expected. I've got the Frontline Ardboys, which I was really pleased to be able to put into play with Yvonne. It wasn't as good as a Shrieking Exarch, obviously, but it meant that I have a little bit of protection for Zarathur, for at least for the 1 round. Okay, and I get another Warp Rift, which is pretty nice, pretty reasonable. And I'm thinking, actually, he's stuck himself on a green planet for the Samhain jet bike, and that might be something I can tap into somehow. Okay. I have the initiative on planet 1. I have some shields, potentially. I feel like also the Exarch can jump down, so potentially I can win planet 1. Although if he jumps things down, I might not. But then that means he's got to bring them back in later. So we'll see what happens here. I'm not going to use any command action. Although I could have used it now to try and kill the Baeltan Guardians, but I don't. John's gone past command already, that's cool, and he's looking at mobile. He can move his Warlord, and he can move the Viper jet bike. And he sends Baharroth over to Farron, which is going to be awkward for me, and he bumps up the ability of the attack of Baharroth with the Banner of the Ashen Sky. That's going to be a pain for me, I can tell. But it appears he's leaving the jet bike right where it is, which I would assume is because he wants it to be able to move with the Exarch. Yeah, with the Exarch, because obviously when the Exarch moves his using the Samhain jet bike, the Wild Viper has a reaction that it can follow any unit that moves from the planet it is to another planet. I forgot that the Rotten Plague Bearers have an attack of 0, and so if I want to attack with them, it needs to be an action. And I clearly bumped something on my display there and stopped recording the octagon screen and started including my taskbar. Not quite sure what happened there. Okay. So, Rotten Plague Bearers have an action, deal 1 damage to a unit at the planet, target unit. And so I kill off the Guardians, and then I fully expected, that was my action, and then it's his action, he says done, and I fully expected the Exarch to jump over at this point, because he would just absolutely destroy. He'd kill this unit, and then he'd be able to ping things, and that's what I expected. So I'm readied, because technically I don't win until I'm readied. And he says done. So I'm putting in, just checking this is my planet, because I honestly, I don't believe it. Really? Is it my planet? Yep, he's done. Okay, so it's Taurus, and he's clearly got more less than me, so I can't trigger it. Whereas he would have been able to trigger it if he'd gone for it, which is part of why I thought he would. But okay, that's fine. Then I'm going to trigger Yvonne, which he can now jump and attack me with the Exarch. He's got no actions. I've got no actions. So again, I'm bewildered. So it's my planet. Again, I can't really trigger it. I've got nothing to trigger it with or for. But yeah, look, lots of done. He's all done. Okay, all good. Alright. Yeah, no, I'm not going to be triggering that. Well, I suppose I was looking and seeing how many cards he had. If he'd only had 2, maybe I would have tried to get away with it. Alright, so over to Farron, where he's basically just going to have... I'm going to have to let him kill the Acolyte. But it brought back 2 resources already, so that's fine. And he doesn't trigger it? Oh no, he's asking me if I trigger Yvonne. No, I do not trigger Yvonne. Happy to not trigger Yvonne. Alright. He's got an attack of 5. I am wondering if it's worth dropping in the Zealots. Because he's being exhausted, and that's used up his Ashen Sky. So if I dropped in the Zealots, I'd get in 4 damage on him, and then I'd be able to take a hit and do another 4 damage against him. Yeah, I probably should have at this point, but I let it go through. I should have probably put in the Zealots there. That would have meant I could win against him. That would have meant I could have probably gotten pretty close to bloodied in a couple of hits. Those Noise Marines would have caused quite a bit of damage. And then I could have routed probably the Exarch would have been the best thing to rout, and that would have been good. Alright, so I've got another Chaos Fanatic and another promotion, which is fine. I can build up a bit more command spread and see what other options come rolling in. The Shrieking Exarch is a real problem versus a swarm like mine. And Doom, that explains why he was going for Farron, that explains what he was doing there. So yes, if I had dropped in the Zealots, my Ard boys wouldn't have been in HQ, and his Exarch would have been, and I really don't think he would have done Doom there. But he did, and I was doomed, and so there we go. Which means it's my turn, so I get my Fanatics, and I just chuck them way down the line, some command down the line. There's not much else I can do there. Okay, but he's down to 2 resources. I've got 11 resources and 6 cards, so hopefully I'll be able to do something here. He can easily move on to that first planet, which would give him 2 red, a green, and 2 blue. So I'm trying to see what else I can do. The Shining Blade ends up on Baharroth. Shining Blade attached to a mobile unit. It's war gear though, so that limits who can have it. And as an interrupt, when the attached unit declares an attack, declare that attack against a unit at an adjacent planet. But you do have to have something to be attacking at your own planet, which makes the Shining Blade really tricky. Most people seem to decide to use it against enemy mobile units, forcing you to be able to redirect their attacks at their own buddies at adjacent planets. But it's an awkward card. I really think it was intended to be that you have something at a planet, and when there's an attack at the adjacent planet, they can sort of throw in their attack. I really reckon that's what they wanted it to be, and they just worded it in a way that doesn't provide. John throws down a rogue trader after I put a promotion onto those cultists, so I had equalized the command, so he wouldn't be getting anything out of it, and then he's added his rogue trader just to pip over the top again. I could throw down the Zealots, but again, I don't think I'm going to, although I've missed a couple of good opportunities to get in and cause some damage to Baharroth already, which is a bit of a shame. So I'm going to planet 3, which is dangerously close to the Exarch and the Viper, but I'm figuring he's going to want to put at least one of them onto planet 1 to win planet 1, and then I can route the other one so that it's more awkward for him anyway. Or he might decide to go after me, but then he's probably going to lose planet 1, and he can route one of my command cappers, which is in the end of the world. I'm looking at my Warp Rift options and thinking, what is there that I can move that would be useful to stop him? If I moved Ferrin to where Baharroth is, that just gives him an extra red quicker. Yeah, it's hard to choose. Now, I don't see Warp Rift actually doing a lot, being a good way to move things around. Oh, I'm changing my decision. I'm going further down the line to planet 4, which is... I'm not sure what planet 4 is. Is it Iridial? I think it's Iridial. I think I decided I wanted more cards, because I've got lots of resources. I think that was my decision maker there. He goes to planet 2. He thought I was going to guarantee the command, and also Baharroth likes going to planet 2, doesn't he? So that's all good. Yes, I did. I was at Iridial. So yeah, I think I wanted the extra cards. But I'm not seeing the Warp Rift being able to play some really tricky colour combinations at the moment, so that's going to be a bit of a shame. We get the exact same, 2 cards and a resource each. Alright, I've got a demon that I can drop in. I've got a firestorm and lots of resources for it. So this is, suddenly I'm feeling a lot better. I can Infernal Gateway, which is perfect for the Zarathur's Flamers, the signature unit. 2 cost, 1 command, 2 attack, 2 HP, but also action, sacrifice the unit in order to deal 2 damage to an enemy unit at the planet. So they attack, and then you sacrifice them, and you've done a couple of damage, and then you can Infernal, as long as you've destroyed something, you can use the Shrine of Warp Flame, I'm pretty sure the timing works, to bring back your top Cinch card, which includes the signature unit, or Infernal Gateway, whichever way you dispose of them. I'm not sure how that would be. Let's see. No, Infernal Gateway would be underneath, wouldn't it? Because I would have played it and put the unit in and then put it into the discard pile. So the unit would come back, which would be great. Still would be great. Okay. So I'm waiting to see what he puts on planet 1. I've also got the Cinch's Firestorm, which has a cost of X and deals X damage. And I'm looking and realizing I have 12 resources. So what I was thinking was that I could, especially when he did this, I was thinking I could try and kill one of those elites just by pointing and clicking with my Firestorm. He's mobiled over, so that's all that's over. He's done, and I'm going to try and kill that Viper with my Firestorm, because that would be amazing. That would mean he misses out on the tricolour, so do I, but he would miss out on it, and suddenly the game would be a little bit more open, I think. So thinking carefully about what I want to do next. And I really want to get my timing right here, so I'm just checking exactly what action window are we in. We're doing actions for the combat at planet 1. We've moved past the window before the combats. We're in combat at planet 1. If I say done, he wins. So I'm just clarifying that's definitely where we're at. He agrees. Cool. So I'm going to try and kill it. I know he doesn't have a 3 shielder, he's already used that. So if I go with 6, that means a 2 shield card will not save it. Boom, boom. 6 damage to the Viper. And he nullifies. That I should have expected, but yeah. Nullify really causes a big problem. That's 6 resources negated. Nullify, exhaust your ward to cancel an enemy event. So that's brilliant. Although maybe I should have used that as an opportunity to try and go for that damage, that warlord again. But that would have put more units opposite the Exarch, which is never a very safe thing to do. So there we go. He wins Yvonne, but he does not trigger it. Okay, so he'll capture that, and then we'll move on to planet 2. Okay, so he now has 2 red, 1 green, and 2 blue. So I can let him take a green planet, but after that any planet will let him win. Whereas I only have one red and one green, so I'm really curious. I'm really struggling to think, what should I do next? What should be my next move? No actions initially, and here we go. The Exarch is going to take out those fanatics. Not much I can do about that. Not sure what I'm waiting for here. Maybe I want him to think I can do something about it. But no, I can't do anything about that. The fanatics are gone. So he gets to cause a ping of damage. He's drawn a card, and he pings my warlord. Very dangerous thing, that Exarch. Able to cause damage to warlords anywhere on the game. Very, very dangerous. So I'm deciding what do I want to put in there to cause some damage, and I decide for the flamers, because I've sacrificed the flamers, which means they aren't destroyed, and the Shrieking Exarch only triggers off army units that are destroyed, so the flamers being sacrificed don't trigger its reaction. And I decide I want to see if I can get as close to getting rid of this Exarch as possible. The Exarch is going to be a problem for me. Potentially I should have gone for the warlord, made it more difficult for him to commit somewhere, and hopefully give me a chance to take out Baharroth at some point. And the Exarch decides to take this opportunity to move over to my warlord, which is obviously going to be really quite dangerous for me. Banner of the Ashen Sky, so it's going to be a really big nasty hit. It's going to be up to a strength of 7, and it's done 1 ping of damage because the jet bike has a reaction that you cause 1 damage to a unit at the planet. Actually, I think it's an army unit, not any unit, so I might not have meant to take that point on this. Oh no, I did. I specified army unit, so I took that damage back. Okay, so and then I blow it up, and at that point I decide to get rid of the rogue trader to reduce his command, to reduce his effect, but he still manages to win Baharroth at this stage. So, not sure if I made the right move there. Possibly putting out the Noise Marines and going straight for the warlord might have been a good call. Not sure. I lost a warp rift there, and I should have used the Shrine of Warpflame. When I took out the Rogue Trader, I should have used the Shrine of Warpflame to get back a Cinch card. I would have got back the Infernal Gateway, I think, actually, so I could have done that. I'm going to take the opportunity on, what is this, Iridial down the end here, where my warlord was. I'm going to swing for 2, swing for 1, and the damage is increased to 2 on the Exarch. See what other damage I can get in there. And then, I believe we're both done. And I think I make a silly decision here. I do. So I decide that I have initiative, so if I stay, there's a chance that I could kill the Exarch with my warlord. And I'm thinking if I take a swing of 4, I won't quite be dead because I can shield with a Warp Rift or even a Promise of Glory, and I won't quite be dead, and then I can retreat then. So hopefully I'll be able to kill the Shrieking Exarch. But then I realised this is Iridial, and if I don't kill it outright, it's going to be able to heal itself completely, which means this is probably not going to be enough damage anymore. See, it takes the 2 and it's not quite dead. I believe it's on 5 damage now. So it definitely gets to swing back, which I go to add damage, and I'd forgotten about the +2, is it, from the Banner of the Ashen Sky, which means my warlord is now bloodied. So that was a very, very poor decision to stay there. No one needs to mention that in the comments. I am well aware that that was not what I should have done. Okay, so I lose. I bloodied my warlord. Really nasty position to be in. Okay. So we're done with combat. He'd readied. Now he's using a ready to heal his exarch completely, so it's a complete waste of all those various resources and cards that didn't end up doing anything to the exarch, unfortunately. That's really harsh, that's really tough. And so now my thought is, HQ action, I'm going to move this planet. Now my thought was, oh hang on, I've just got to figure out how to do it. I need to take control of it and then I can switch it. I believe that's what I'm looking for here. Take control of the card, and then, there we go. Switch, replace planet. I am using a Warp Rift. Now, I decided to switch it with Aatrox and move the tricolour right down to the end of the game. My thought there is he is no longer sharing a green planet icon, and I'm thinking if he gets Baharroth, I've made it that much longer that he'll have to fight to get a green planet, although the red and the blue would both work as well. Hopefully I've stranded the exarch so he can't help on at least Baharroth, the next planet. So it was something to do. John says he thinks it's wasted. It possibly wasn't ideal, but it was the best thing I could think of to try and limit what was going to be happening. I think he's trying to say he thinks I should have swapped the tricolour with Farron, which he still wouldn't be able to go to Baharroth, but that would be all. Potentially puts the tricolour closer to me, maybe. Yeah. Anyway, we've discussed all that, and then we're good. We're ended the turn. I don't think I've used that Shrine of Warpflame at all, and I really should have used it at least once. I think I'm going to need to get in a bit more practice with the Zarathur here, so yeah. Okay, new turn. I've got a Squig Bombin and I've got an Orc Cannon, so I do not have much, what do I call it, many army units. I don't have a lot of feet on the ground that I can use to try and get things moving. So I may as well put them out. I put out the Orc Cannon, and he responds with an STC fragment. And I think, you know what? STC is a really good card, so let's get rid of it. I've got the Squig Bomb in there. Let's just take it out. Squig Bomb in action, destroy a target support card. Nice and simple. He's already played a limited card now, so he can't play a replacement STC. And hopefully, being down to 4 resources, that'll mean that he's out of luck for being able to deploy anything that he really particularly wants. Alright, so let's see how he responds now that I've taken out the STC. He goes with an Incubus. It's a 2 command, 2 cost, 3 attack, 1 HP, and he uses that to go and equalise my cultists. I've got very few other options, so I throw the Noise Marines down to planet 1. I may as well see if I can pick it up at this point. He's only got 2 resources left. Noise Marine Zealots, 1 command, 2 attack, 3 HP, but they gain 2 attack if a Warlord is present at the planet. They're the Chaos Warlord groupie. And I just feel a bit sad that they don't tie in as strongly as they could with Vacheleur. There's no particular reason for me to take them, although I would have liked to have seen a Noise Marine themed Warlord somewhere down the line that would have done more with it. John deploys a Slith Mercenary to planet 1, which leaves him at 1 resource, so I figure I'll just use my remaining resources to buy that Slith. He cannot take it back, so that means I've got a good strong chance to win command on planet 1, and I was a bit worried that he might buy it back during the battle at planet 1, and I'd have to fight it, but I was fairly confident that with Zarathur there, I'd probably be able to kill it and win. I'm not sure where he's going to go. I'm not sure where he's going to send the Viper, so I might end up having to fight with them. But I thought taking the Slith was a reasonable decision at this stage. The Slith is a 1 cost, 2 command, 2/2, which is amazing value for money. But the problem with it is that any player can spend 2 resources to buy it if it's at a planet and take it into their control. And then he plays another one, which is pretty impressive. Throws them right down the end to gain the command over my Chaos Fanatics. I'm not sure why I put them right down the end there. I would have thought possibly fighting might have been more useful at that stage, but that's fine. 1 cost there. I press done and then instantly say wait, because I'm not really thinking. I'm at the moment thinking I want to attack planet 1. I want to see if I can get at least a planet going on. And basically I think if I use my Promise of Glory and get a couple of cultists to come with me, alongside Zarathur they hit for 2, so they could be useful. So if he doesn't mind me sort of backtracking, he says okay, I'm going to use my Promise of Glory and put in a couple of cultists that I'll take with me, just as a little extra fodder on planet 1. Not hugely significant, but just I feel like having the bodies is a bit more useful than having a 1 shielder in that case. Now I'm definitely done, I've got nothing else. Yeah, as John says, nice fodder. Just there to plink away and take a couple of hits. He's got nothing else. And then I'm just making a comment here. What does it say? You're right. I should have shifted Iridial closer to planet 1. Yeah, I was just thinking, actually, the tricolour, if I'd have stranded the exact that way with Ferrin instead of Atrox, then I could have sent Iridial closer to planet 1, which would have at least set me up for potentially getting Baharroth and then Iridial and having 3 green icons, possibly being able to beat him that way. So I go to planet 1, and as does he. The Viper is exhausted, which is really, really useful for me. I win the command there. His Warlord is no good to him, but he does win it at these other 2 planets down the line. So I get another Promise of Glory and a Rogue Trader. Not particularly useful right at the moment. And he gets 2 cards and a resource. And he decides to mobile completely out of the way over to planet 2. So he'll be all set up for Ferrin, which is a win condition for him. But he completely leaves Baharroth to me. Which is interesting. I feel like he could have made a bit of a fight for it, and he then uses his Foretell, which replaces itself, exhaust your Warlord to cancel a battle ability and then draw a card. But that means he doesn't actually have to discard a card from his hand. He loses the Foretell and then it replaces itself, so it's perfect for that. But actually I don't mind, that's fine. I'm out of the battle with all my things. Yeah, so if I'd have made Iridial that planet, there's a chance that we'd be both fighting for the win, but now I need to literally stop him at every single planet until the last planet, which is really a bad position to be in when he's got an Exarch and a Viper and all sorts of things. Ferrin, which he can trigger if he wants. He's thinking about it. So I'll take those Fanatics away. But he changes his mind, because, I mean, why would you? The battle there is not going to be important. I don't have many ways of moving them around, and he's already beaten me in command there, so no real point to routing them. Better to leave them where they're not actually being effective. At least if they'd routed them, they would have turned into fodder to go with my Warlord, which would have been less useful for him. So, no HQ actions, and I'm asking whether we're ready for the end of the turn, but he ends the turn after that, so it's fine, we got there in the end. Okay, so I've got a Marcus Lanesh, which allows me to pull in the cultists, which isn't really very important at all. I got the Flamers, which are good, because I can put them in for free, especially with another Promise of Glory, and I completely forgot to fire off a cannon, which I really should have done, even if it was just to weaken the Viper a little bit on Farron, just to start causing a little bit of a problem. He's got another STC. I play another Promise of Glory. So I've got heaps of cultists. And actually I'm considering just playing the flamers anyway, because then I've got more cultists in the fight anyhow. He's using that STC and using it to put in a mighty Wraith Knight, so I'm thinking I've got very little chance of beating all of these big things, unfortunately, at this stage. I made a few wrong decisions, and he's just really played well at putting me in the position that he wants me in. He's got a Viper with a Star Cannon, which is now exhausted. He's got the Wraith Knight, which is a good solid unit. The Wraith Knight exhausts all non-spirit units at the planet when it enters play, which is key. It's not deploy, it's enters play, so it's got some very interesting tricks it can pull. He's throwing a Star Cannon on it, which means I cannot shield. It's 5 attack, which is huge. And I figure I might as well put a Mark of Slaanesh onto one of my units, because then I at least bring over the Chaos Cultists, the Fanatics, and it's just one more thing he's got to make sure he kills before he wins the planet. So the Mark of Slaanesh, when the attached unit leaves play, I'm not sure if it's destroyed, I'm pretty sure it's leaves play, you move a unit you control to the same planet as the unit that just was attached and died. So obviously I'm going to Planet 1 because I need to defend Planet 1 or I lose. And he is going to Planet 1 as well. He's getting straight into it, no funny business. So he wins command everywhere, which is a little of a bit of a pain for me. Two cards and 3 resources for him, so he's got quite a few options there. Things like Gift of Isha and stuff, which I'm going to assume that he's going to use. As you can tell, I am recording this after playing it, but I have forgotten what happened, in broad strokes at least. So no actions, no mobile, nothing like that. And he gets to swing first. Now, what I'm saying there is do it, because he has a 5 attack Armor Bane unit, and I have a Bloodied Warlord with 5 HP. There is literally no way I can stop him assassinating me right now. But instead, he looks like he's really playing the odds carefully. He grabs the Exarch with its same hand jetbike and gets it to dart over to Farron, the first planet. Having some trouble with his arrows and targeting, I think, but that's fine, I know what he's doing. And get her over to join the party. There we go. There she is. Alright, so 3 Eldar Elites and a Warlord that is, what's the word, Hail, versus quite a few really small Chaos units and a bloodied Zarathur. It's not going to be pretty. So he should be pinging a unit with the Oh, there we go. I assumed it would be the Zealots, but I was wrong. It's the Flamers that he's pinging. And he's given the Exarch the +2 attack from the Ashen Sky. And the other two have Armor Bane, so really they're all pretty darn good. He buys the Slith off me. Now really, I should buy the Slith back. I don't think I'd bother, but I've got more resources than him now, so I may as well buy it back, you know. Wraithblade kills my demon, so I don't get to use its ability. Pull over the Fanatics. I mean, if he's going to play it long, I may as well see what I can do. He finally gets around to drawing the card from the... Oh no, that's a new card. I think he missed a card. He draws a card for the Exarch and pings a Cultist. And then he goes to cycle it again, but unfortunately the Exarch only triggers off destroyed army units, not token units. So he can't keep that going along. I mean, it's still really good against a swarmy army, but tokens are the key to a swarmy army. Low cost, 1 cost, 2 cost units have a lot of hate, but there's not as much hate against tokens themselves. So using Snotlings, Guardsmen, Cultists, Termagants, although they're hard to generate in the right sort of way, that's the only real way to get a swarm going, I feel like. It's the only way to have a swarm that's immune to some of the counters that are out there. I would really like to see a couple more ways to get most of the token swarms rolling. Obviously, I think there's probably enough ways to get a Dark Eldar Chimera onto the board, so we probably don't need more ways to get Chimera for them. But I really want to see like a Revolution or Revolt card to get some more Chaos Cultists. I'd like to see some more ways of getting these tokens. He takes out the Zealot. I ran away with Zarathur. Gets rid of another Cultist. Nearly there, very, very close. I may as well go for the Warlord, I imagine. See if I can ping his Warlord for something. I've gotten a bit confused. Whose turn is it? It is me. Cool. Ping the Warlord. Hurrah, grr. But he can shield it. Oh man, when you're shielding something as petty as that, you know you're overwhelming the opponent. There we go, takes that out. Pings the Cultist with the Exarch. And that will do it. Just too much for me, just too solid. And there we go, and now he points out that he could have taken the Warlord there. Alright, so that was me having a bit of fun with a bit of old school Zarathur. I'm going to have to crack him out a few more times. I think there's still some fun to be had there. I'd love to see some advice on people who used to run this sort of a deck and see how they best think it can be worked against some of the big guys that are in the game now. Alright, I hope you enjoyed. I'll catch you again next time.